Hello everyone and welcome back to Ecological Educational channel. So this is the fifth part of the unit 1 in which we are doing the syllabus wise preparation for the NET Environmental Science. So those who haven't checked the previous lessons, you can check the link given in the description below. So without wasting much time, let's get started. So we will start with the thing which we left in the last class. हमने last class में ecology के बारे में पढ़ा था. So today we are going to start with the two definitions. Yes, one is ought ecology, the next one is syn ecology. So ought ecology, the meaning is it is the study of individual organism or individual species. So you should remember it can be individual organism or individual species. That study is called ought ecology. It is also known as population ecology, but syn ecology means it is the study of group of organism. It is not the study of individual organism. It is the study of group of organism of different species which are associated together, which are acting together, which are interacting together as a unit in form of community. So it can be called as the community study, and ought ecology can be called as population study ecology. So let's start with the new thing which we have discussed in the last video that we will discuss here. The thing is speciation. So this will be very interesting and beautiful topic. So आइए शुरू करते हैं speciation. So first of all, what is speciation? So speciation is the process by which an ancestral species. So ancestral means if we are considering ourselves, then our grandfather, our father is the ancestor. So that father or grandfather, that is the ancestral species, splits into two or more new species. So for example, if you can see here the red color, this circle is the ancestral species, that's the one species. When it splits into two kinds of species, that means it will be same but will some different characteristic form, then it will be called as species 1, and the next one which will be called as species 2. So they will be having differences from species. Two species are diverting or more new species are forming. So it is sometimes difficult to determine when the speciation has occurred. So ये बहुत difficult होता है कई बार कि determine करना कि speciation उस species में हुआ है या नहीं, because the reason is it is often a gradual process. So it is not the drastic process. So ये एक दिन में या कुछ टाइम में नहीं होता है, ये बहुत समय लगता है ग्रेजुअल प्रोसेस से ये जो स्पेसिएशन का प्रोसेस होता है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ये है एक रीजन. नेक्स्ट है नॉट ऑल इवोल्यूशनरी चेंजेस रिजल्ट इन ए न्यू स्पीसीज. सो इवोल्यूशन जो होता है हर टाइम इवोल्यूशन में न्यू स्पीसीज नहीं होता है, कुछ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ही चेंज होते हैं, उसे हम नया स्पीसीज नहीं बोलेंगे. सो बिकॉज ऑफ दिस टू रीजन इट इज़ वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू डिटरमाइन वेदर स्पेसिएशन हैज टेकन प्लेस इन वन स्पीसीज और नॉट. सो आइए चलते हैं हमारे अगले स्लाइड की तरफ. So we can say there are two basic kinds of speciation characteristics. They are mutation order speciation and the other one is ecological speciation. So ecological speciation हम पढ़ेंगे इस वीडियो में, बट उससे पहले हम जान लेते हैं कि mutation order speciation क्या है. So this mutation order speciation is nothing but when the mutation जो changes होता है हमारे DNA में, जीन में, एक सेल के अंदर अगर changes हो जाता है तो that leads to the formation of two species. That is here you can see species 1 and species 2. यहाँ देख सकते हैं येलो डॉट के अंदर ग्रीन डॉट्स भी पाए गए हैं. दैट इज द म्यूटेशन इज द रीजन. सो दैट्स व्हाई आफ्टर टाइम the gradually the species are developing into two kinds of species. So this is because of the genetic isolation with the niche conservation. नेक्स्ट थिंग इज इकोलॉजिकल स्पेशिएशन. इकोलॉजिकल स्पेशिएशन क्या होता है? जबकि नया इकोलॉजिकल कंडीशन होता है. इकोलॉजिकल कंडीशन मतलब उसका फिजिकल पैरामीटर हो सकता है, एनवायरनमेंट का कैरेक्टरिस्टिक होता है, नॉट ऑल द टाइम द म्यूटेशन इन द जीन. सो दैट रिजल्ट्स in the formation of two species or more, that is called as ecological speciation. So ये जीन में होता है और ये मोस्टली इकोलॉजिकल स्पेसिएशन उसके अंदर जीन भी आएगा बट एनवायरमेंटल कंडीशन भी रोल प्ले करता है. सो आइए देखते हैं डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ speciation, that is ecological speciation, we will discuss in this video. First of all we'll know what is allopatric speciation. So ये allopathic homeopathic नहीं है, ये है allopatric speciation. That means when the gene flow is interrupted when a population is divided into a geographically isolated subpopulation. So यहाँ पे जो है geographical barrier देखने को मिलता है, तभी जाके इस kind of speciation हम मिलता है. So how this is happening? For example, the meaning of allopatric you should know. So allo का मतलब होता है different and patric जो word है, patric जिससे आया उसका मतलब होता है country. So different country में different type of people रहते हैं. For example, let us assume यहाँ पे ये बैरियर नहीं है. So भूल जाइए यहाँ पे कोई बैरियर है, तो वहाँ पे जो species रहते हैं they will be similar. So that kind of species will be one kind of species. But when we are giving a barrier, for example there is a barrier between two countries, so here we are giving barrier between the organisms which are living in one place. For example, this one is the barrier. So then that results in the formation of different species, because here the niche condition will be different, here also niche condition will be slightly different. So gradually they will develop into two different species. I hope you are able to understand this allopatric speciation, that is because of geographical barrier that can be naturally formed or can be formed by human interaction or human intervention. Let's move on to the example of allopatric speciation. So ये allopatric speciation जो है मेक्सिको में एक example हम लेके देखेंगे. So here you can see there were owls in Mexico, that was one of kind of species. Then what happens is here जो geographical barrier took place. So geographical barrier हो गया, किस reason से हमें पता नहीं, mostly because of geographical variation takes place due to natural reason. So what happens is, due to this, in the northern part of Mexico, northern spotted owls are found, and in the southern part of Mexico, Mexican spotted owl are found. So these are the example of allopatric speciation. Because of this geographical barrier, two different species of owl are seen in Mexico. चलते हमारे अगले स्लाइड की तरफ. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड जो है उसमें हम पढ़ेंगे sympatric speciation. So this sympatric speciation is also called as genetic polymorphism. So यहाँ पे genetic का बात आ रहा है. So this process allows new species to evolve from a common ancestor. So that is the main definition of speciation. While the new and old species are still living in the same geographic region. So यहाँ पे geographical barrier नहीं होता है, यहाँ पे होता है कि सेम जोग्राफिक रीजन में रहते हुए दो स्पीसीज या दो से ज़्यादा स्पीसीज फॉर्म होते हैं. Although this kind of speciation, that is sympatric speciation, is less common. So mostly in nature we used to see allopatric kind of speciation, not sympatric kind of speciation. So the thing is, what are the reasons, the factors happening because of the less common allopatric? Because the speciation can occur if gene flow is reduced by the following factors. So what are the factors playing the role for the gene flow? That is polyploidy, habitat differentiation and sexual selection. So here habitat differentiation is not there, that's why it is mentioned no the same geographic region, that's why this speciation is less common. But if these three things are there, that is polyploidy, sexual selection and habitat differentiation, then speciation is seen in more number. So you should note it down, all these things which we are discussing in the video. Take out your notes, pen and paper, because this will be very helpful for your examination. So let us take an hypothetical example to know more easily about the sympatric speciation. For example, here we have taken in the same geographical area, one red apple is placed. So here the flies will come and they will eat this apple. But after some time, if we keep one green apple and one red apple, some flies will be feeding on the red apple and some will be feeding on the green apple. So they will not go and attracted towards the red, and these will not go and attracted towards the green. So in this way, there are two species are forming of the same flies which used to feed on single apple, that will be called a single niche. That is the profession of any species is called as niche. So in this way, two species we can say are formed in the same geographical area because of certain niche changes. Now we will go and see about the parapatric speciation. So this speciation occurs when part of a population enters a new habitat bordering the range of the parent species. So here what happens is, let us take an example that there is a habitat and one species, some part of that population is going to the bordering part and they are forming the new level of their living, new living system they are forming. In that case, some gene flow occurs between the populations in the border zone. So here what happens is, in border zone the speciation takes place because the gene flow is different. Because of that, new species are formed. So in the example we'll take and we'll see more easily. So here, for example, this is seen in California, the parapatric speciation example. We can see this is the border of the California. So here what happens is, in the border region, some species which are taking, that is the northern part, this kind of grass are seen, that is Ephedra californica. In southern part, Ephedra trifurca are seen. So they are situated in the same region, but here due to the border region, some species are migrating because of some seed dispersal or some pollination, and as a result what happens is new species are formed because of the gene flow. So this is, here border is not geographical border but it is hypothetical border is seen, and here the two species are formed of grass species in two zones of California. Now let's move on and see another kind of speciation, which is peripatric. We have not discussed here. So here what happens is peripatric we'll see after knowing this table. So this table is depicting all four important kinds of speciation, that are allopatric, peripatric, parapatric and sympatric kind of speciation. So here initially we have taken the solid green color circle as the original population, and gradually when these are having changes, they are going and forming two different kinds of species. So we'll take allopatric condition in which barrier is formed, as you can see here, barrier formation, and because of that after certain time gradually two different species are seen in two different barrier, two different geographical region. Next is peripatric one. So here what happens is there is new niche entered, but here the boundary is not attached to the parent boundary. So here you can see they are migrating to the new place, and as a result the new species are formed, but here the boundary is not attached to the parent boundary, and as a result the species are isolated and they live their own individual life. But parapatric, as we have discussed in the case of California, the two grass species, so here the border is attached, that means they are migrating to new place but they are still intact with the parent border. So in this case what happens also, because of difference in niche condition and environmental condition, two different species are formed. And as we discussed sympatric, that is the genetic changes happen inside the body of the organism, that is genetic polymorphism is seen. As a result, from that population itself two different kinds of or two or more different kinds of species are seen. So that is because of genetic polymorphism, that is sympatric kind of speciation. So I hope you are clear with these four kinds of speciation. You should note this table. This will be very easy for you to recall when you are revising. And let's move on to one of the important topics, that is ecological interaction. This is also very important and very easy topic. You would have learned in your school days and will know one by one. So we'll start with the quote of John Donne. So what John Donne said? John Donne ne kaha, no man is an island. So what does that mean? That means he is telling on our earth no man is isolated. Islands are isolated, as you know, from the mainland. So he's telling no man is an island. That means no man is isolated, because every individual is linked to every other individual in some or other way. Similarly, in an ecosystem, no species is isolated. That means it is having some or other interaction. The interaction can be positive or negative, but it is having some or other relation with other species of the ecosystem. So we'll see what are ecological interaction. Ecological interaction, the definition means, are the effect that a pair of organisms living together, here it is written pair, it can be also more than one pair of organisms living together, but to study ecological interaction we will say pair of organisms living together in a community have on each other. They are having the effect on each other. They can be either of the same species, that is intraspecific interaction, or of different species, that is interspecific interaction. For example, I will let you know that here one species of cat is there, there is one in population, and here another cat is there. So in between two cats, when the interaction is there, it will be called as intraspecific interaction, because they are having the same species, that is species of cat. But when we are talking about one species of cat is there and another, I will change the color so that it will be easier for you to understand. So another will be the species of dog, and then when these two are interacting, that will be called as interspecific interaction. That means two different species interacting with each other. So I hope you are able to understand intra and interspecific. Now let's move on to the next slide. So these are the important types of ecological interaction. So what are these? We will know. First is mutualism, then commensalism, neutralism, emensalism, predation or parasitism. They come under one interaction type, and next is competition, which is seen among all these kind of interaction. So we'll know one by one, starting with the mutualism. As you can see, both the smileys are smiling. That means there will be something, happiness will be there in both the cases. That means interspecific interaction occurs between two organisms which benefit both the species. So यहाँ पे the two species are having the benefit, they are benefited by the interaction. That's why these smileys that are here, we are showing you that these smileys are smiling. That's why, because both are having the benefit. Otherwise it is also called a symbiosis. So symbiosis is the, we can say, synonym of mutualism kind of interaction. Here the relationship is essential for the survival of at least one member. So this interaction is must because of survival of at least one member. Let's move on and see the example of mutualism. So there are various examples of mutualism in our nature. For example, you would have seen bees are the important species in any ecosystem. And why they are important? Because they used to pollinate one flower to another. So what they will get? So from pollinating, they are pollinating and they are growing the diversity of the plants. But as a result, what they are getting? They are getting the nectar as a meal. So they are getting the juice from the flower as their meal. So in both the way, flower is also benefited and bees are also benefited. So this is the typical example of mutualism. Some other examples are clownfish and sea anemone. In the ocean, you have seen lichens also, that is the symbiotic relationship between the fungi and algae. So that is the example, and most important, that is nitrogen fixation. We all know. So the bacteria living in the legume plants, they are fixing the nitrogen. As a result, they are getting the food from the plants and they are providing nitrogen to the plants. So these are some of the examples, you should note it down. Next, coming to the commensalism. What is this commensalism? Commensalism is the relationship in which one species benefits, so एक का benefit होता है, and the other species is neither harmed or nor helped. So other species का जो है कोई भी क्षति नहीं होता है या फिर उसको कोई मदद भी नहीं होता है. The example is, best example is the barnacles adhering to the skin of whale or scallop. So as you can see, this is the tail part of the whale or the fishes which are living inside the water. So this is the whale example, and these white things are barnacles. So what they do is they used to stick on these fin or tails, and what help they are getting is they are able to move from one place to another as this whale moves. So this whale acts as a transport medium for them, and these barnacles neither harm nor benefit the whale. So as a result, one is benefited, that is barnacles, and the whales is not benefited, neither harm. So this is the example of commensalism. Moving on to the next thing, that is emensalism. So emensalism is the kind of relationship between organisms of different species in which one organism is inhabited or destroyed. So one is not successful, it is not having the good thing, it is bad for one organism, one species, while the other organism remains unaffected. So what is the example? So example is the trampling of elephants. So what happens when elephant used to move inside the forest? जब elephant जो दौड़ता है, जब चहलकदमी करता है, तब वहाँ पे जो bushes and ants, those who are living in the understory part of the trees and the forest, they are crushed. So they are leveled by the movement of elephants. As a result, they die, but elephant is neither benefited nor harmed. So in this case, these plants and these ants, small insects are harmed, but elephant is having no issue with that. So this is kind of emensalism. One is affected, another one is neither affected nor benefited. Next thing is predation. So predation is a type of interaction where one organism that is called as predator, which is having the higher standard, which is the powerful one, kills and eats another organism. So the organism which is killed is known as prey, and the one who is killing is known as predator. So this kind of interaction is called as predation. So one has to kill that prey. So it is one of the most common feeding behavior, which also includes parasitism and herbivory. So parasites also, you know, parasite and host, there are two body, we will know in the next slide. Herbivory means the plants which are eaten by the herbivores, animals, deers and cows. That is also kind of predation, because for example, cow is eating the plant, that means plant is dying, but cow is getting the nutrition from that. So in this kind, predator is cow, prey is the plants. So here you can see the owl is catching the prey, that is the frog, that is the mouse, sorry. Next, moving on to the parasitism, as we have discussed, it is also kind of this interaction. In this case, what happens is, this is where the parasite is the stronger organism which is having more power, which is feeding on the host. So host is, they are causing harm to the host, but they are not killing the host. For example, in case of predation, the predator kills the host, kills the prey, but here parasite doesn't kill the host. It is living on the host, and slowly it is degrading the quality of the host, and it is eventually the host dies. So there are two categories of parasitism also. They are ectoparasites and endoparasite. So endoparasite means, endo means andar. Endo means andar, means inside your body. For example, there are many organisms living inside our body and feeding in our blood and in our nutrition which we are getting. So they are useful for us, but sometimes it is also harmful. For example, amoeba and all. So they are living inside our body. That's why you can see these worms are living inside. So that's why they are endoparasites, and we, the human beings, are the host body. And ectoparasites are the parasites which are living outside the body. For example, here the mosquito is living on the outside body of our skin and taking the juice, that is the blood, which is giving itself the nutrition from our body by staying outside our body. That is, it is ectoparasite. So I hope you are clear between endo and ectoparasite. So these are the example of parasitism. So what we have learned here is types of interaction. We will know because the signs are also important. They used to come in the examination. So mutualism, kind of both the species benefit from the interaction. So the symbol will be plus plus, positive positive for both the organism. Commensalism means one species is benefited, another one is unaffected. So one is benefited, that's why plus, another one is unaffected, that's why it is 0, neither plus nor 0, minus. Next is neutralism, which is very rare. It is not actually practical, that they do not affect each other. The species which are living in one place, they have to affect one another in some other way. It is very hypothetical. So in that case, the sign will be 0 and 0. Emensalism means one species is unaffected, that is 0. Another species is disadvantaged, that is negative, which is case of the elephant trampling the seeds and the insect. Next case is the predation and parasitism. Predation, that is predator and prey interaction. Parasitism means parasite and host. In that case, one species is benefited, that is positive symbol, and another one is disadvantaged or not benefited, that is negative symbol. So I hope you are able to know all this type of interaction and speciation we learn in this video. So that's all in this part of the video. If you like this, give a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and stay tuned for further updates. And yes, if you haven't subscribed this channel till now, do subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon to get interesting video like this. See you guys in our next video.